Good evening. So today I'm going to be discussing where I think the current state of public relations is and where I think they're going in the future, as well as my contribution to the industry of PR in the future. So first off, the current state has kind of been, I think everybody's industry has been affected by the pandemic. And so I think currently they have just been focusing on how to adapt better to their situation. How can we communicate with, these other places and these other countries and these other organizations, in a time that fits everyone? How can we, do our jobs the best we can, the most effectively? And some of them have taken, after talking to Natasha in our interview, she's talked about how they have, worked more diligently on like marketing strategies and those things like that. So I think that is something that, being more engaged on social media or being more engaged, with your consumers or your publics is something that, through another form other than press conferences and things like that, where you have to be, in the same space as people, we haven't been able to do that. So I think that being able to be virtual has been something that has allowed us as people in public relations to learn how to be flexible and do our jobs in any situation. I also got some information from Reagan's PR Daily, where they talk about the 11 predictions for 2021 from PR insiders. And they have also mentioned how it is going to be important for them to be able to adapt. Being able to adapt is going to be necessary for a lot of people in this industry. But they've also mentioned how, they're going to be able to go back to the office, because the energy in the office of brainstorming and working with your coworkers, and that energy is not the same when you're at home in your home office working. And so the fact that they'll have the ability to maybe do that soon is something that I think a lot of people are excited about. And they've also talked about how more brands are going to be talking about their purpose. Or, having organizations or companies work on their branding is super important. And people want to know, what does your company stand for? What is y'all's purpose? What is what is it that you are trying to symbolize? What is it that you're trying to do out here? And I think that is something that they've also mentioned. And in terms of my contribution to this industry, as a person in PR, I think that I'll be able, because I'm a part of this generation, I'm very fortunate, because there are a lot of things that I know are sensitive subjects in this day and age, and how they're probably going to be more sensitive subjects further on in down the road in the future. And so I think that it's definitely, I think the fact that I have been in this generation is already a contribution that I'm able to make. But in addition to that, I think the fact that I always like to be able to get in front of the story. I like to be able to manage this. I am somebody who's very conscious about what I say, the things that I do on social media, and, when I'm out in public even. So I think that me being able to bring that, whether I'm in the entertainment industry, whether I'm representing an influencer or an actress or whoever it is that if I decide to be a publicist, or if I decide to work at a PR firm and, we're representing, this organization and they just had a crisis, how are we able to get in front of this, and how are we going to handle this? I always like to find the solutions to problems before they're problems. And so, even if sometimes they don't always get executed, I like to be able to do that. So I definitely think that that's something that I can contribute. I think the fact that I'm a very people person, I'm very sociable, and I like to, again, work on brand imaging and finding a purpose. And I think the fact that I find that important, I think that is something that I'll be able to bring as well. So thank you.